we will try to make it as effective as possible, and I'm really happy that you're here. And I will not do only the show. Yeah, I'm only the storyteller. I think I'm always have my brain with me, and that's Hugo. He is one of our chief data scientists within Cognizant, and I think he is our master brain in making things or making the possible or the impossible possible. So the topic of today is the power of the customer. Yeah, and I don't know how it's in your organizations, but I think for many years, I think where in the old days tried to do a lot of study work around segmentation. And then we send it and broadcasted messages to our customers in the hope that something hits. And then we got into kind of response. I think most of us already for many years are trying to get into the segment of one of the hyper-personalized approach. Yeah? And I believe that I think we are there at a game-changing moment, yeah? Because generative AI absolutely is there to make an acceleration in making sure that, we can deliver on that promise. At the same time, don't forget the power of the customer. Don't underestimate it. If we don't take care, the customer will disrupt us as an enterprise. Yeah? The customer already has become more vocal. For instance, look with sustainability. They're asking transparency. Yeah? If I buy chocolate, I want to know it's not chocolate made by child labor. Yeah? But even I think customers are willing and saying, hey, I want to co-create. If you deliver a product or a service to me, I want to be involved in the service and the product that you will create to me. So you see that that hyper-personalized approach is even getting into a kind of co-creation perspective. Now, as Cognizant, we have what we call our segment of one framework. And you see that on the bottom, I think there are 3 core things where we need to focus on. First of all is the persona. Secondly is the marketplace. That is where we connect the persona with the enterprise. And the core is that we have a lot of processes, tools, applications in our organization. If I want to be digital in the front end, but I still have a lot of manual handshakes in the core, I have a problem. And do not forget that more and more personas wants to get into a kind of real-time perspective. I think most of you are also looking to create type of new revenue models. Next to your core products, maybe you get into the kind of the Amazon model. You deliver raw materials, but maybe you want also, together with the raw materials, deliver a tool with it. Yeah? Like I said, more and more, I think we want to be close to our customers. Look to some financial institutions. And their banking app is not just a banking app anymore. I call it a life coach, because they want to be there in every moment in your life and trying to advise you and to help you. Yeah? There's always, next to the enlightenment and the excitement, also a selfish reason to earn more money on the back of that. Yeah? But also what is important, like I just mentioned in the power of the customer, we need to go into a dialogue. So the emotional connection is a very important element. Yeah? Because the emotional connection, let's be honest, my mood in the beginning of the day is maybe different at the end of the day. Yeah? And so if I want to go into a dialogue that I like and that creates a convenience, maybe you need to have a different dialogue with me in the morning than in the evening time. And so how, as an enterprise, do we capture this, yeah, to make sure that we drive indeed the right dialogue? And I'm extremely happy to share this example because I'm inspired by my customers, and ING is one of our customers, and they have their human channel vision approach. They have been able, by leveraging more digital, increase their customer satisfaction and response time to their customers. And one of the backbones of a lot of organizations around the emotional connection has been the implementation of conversational AI. Yeah? And conversational AI is a way of how to have more digital interactions with the customer. Yeah? Equally also to make sure that they get a faster and a better answer back. Now, I don't know how many of you have implemented the conversational AI implementation. It is a burden. It requires an effort. And the concept of the intense is a quite intensive effort to do. But again, it's a basis of, again, upgrading that dialogue. And there is where I think our excitement started really in February. Yeah? And I think that the excitement on Gen AI is really creating a massive impact. to accelerate on that customer experience. And I also would say it's not only customer experience, also about employee experience. And if the way of how we look to generative AI, you could look to the good enough job and the perfect job. And what we are saying as Cognizant, this is a playing field where we are not superior to our customer. This is a playing field where we need to play together because the world keeps on changing every day. And what is today not possible becomes tomorrow possible. And it's not a learning moment of a week. Every day information is changing. At the same time, also, if you look into generative AI, you can use a lot out-of-the-box solutions. Yeah? Look the Copilot, for instance, from Microsoft. It is offered as a Copilot, so you can fast-track to use it. Yeah? I think what we have been doing is much more also what we call the tailored Gen AI approach. And we can do some unique things with that. And we will show you some unique things, what we, I think, we have been able to realize. There's only one message. Whether you go use an out-of-the-box or a tailored approach, get on the move, do something with it. Yeah? Because generative AI is there to stay, and the impact on everything which has to do around knowledge work is quite spectacular. So how do we now create a revolution in the context of our customer journey? Yeah? Well, I think with what we have built and can build nowadays, I think forget about the channel. Whatever channel can talk to whatever channel. It becomes a simplicity. Whatever language can talk with whatever language. Great. Yeah. And thirdly, whatever role can talk with whatever other role. And we've succeeded in creating indeed much more richer dialogues with the use of generative AI, taking into account these three game-changing elements. And for instance, a lot of you have a customer services department, maybe a contact center. I'm not sure how happy sometimes your contact center people are, but the average 6 to 9 months they intend maybe to change because they are beaten up every day by the customer, unhappy. Well, I think we have been proof, and I think there's also a lot of studies on the market, that if you can bring with Gen AI some augmented tools to them, they become much more happier. Less attrition, more happy customers. I think that's what we want in the context of customer service. And it's about reaching a dialogue, yeah, in using and the leveraging of our own information we have as an organization. So what we did is we have 3 dimensions or 3 personas. One is the call center agent or the advisor, for which we have showcased and built some extremely nice stuff. But also, even before their communication touch point between the customer and ourselves starts, we can already be proactive and program ourselves for entertaining the right dialogue. And the third one is the direct digital interaction that we want to have with the customer. We've done this in the financial world, telco world, life sciences world, and I think in the tailored Gen AI approach that we will talk about now is I think there were some leading principles. We need to make sure we create the best question and answer. There needs to be a reasoning in it, and there needs to be a memory in it. It needs to be personalized. It needs to be personalized, and there needs to be a history. Like I said, what's your biggest frustration in the context of omnichannel is the reset of the communication. You call the contact center, yeah, and say we cannot help you. You get or a digital channel, and you flipped from a channel, and you need to restart your communication. So the history element is there, I think, extremely important. So let's now start the story. And I call it a personal story. Guess what? March this year, Friday afternoon, my set-top box of my television went broke. My daughter said, "Daddy, we have a problem." I said, "No problem, we rent the box, go to the service center, ask a new set-top box, and we do it." She does it, she goes to the service center, she comes home with the new set-top box, auto-install, we connect it, the auto-install fails. Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock. So I call the telco and I say, "Guys, I have a problem." And they bluntly say to me, "Yeah, Mr. Verlinden, we have a problem because the back office has already started their weekend. It is with the automated install procedure. We will not be able to help you." I say, "Do I now need to tell the family that no television this weekend? I will not be popular, and that I need to wait until Monday." I said, I will tell the bad news to the family. And I put down the phone, I went to the family and I said, no television this weekend. And my daughter said, no problem. I said, no problem. I know, we have an iPad. We have the telco have also an app. And we have a smart TV, so swap. When we were looking television, and say, oh my God. So, oh my God, what happened? If the call center agent would have given that me as an advice, I would still maybe a little bit annoyed, but still happy. So my daughter was delivering a better customer service than the telco itself. So I think maybe, Hugo, can you comment a little bit on that?
Yes. With this experiment, we started to realize the huge power of gathering information from the internet. We have ingested several thousands of web pages, forums of discussions from the telcos and the clients, where users are interacting with each other in dialogues to help each other, and we have created a knowledge base from that. And it's really surprising, because in this experiment, as we can see, we are able to create our own customer experience better than the company itself. And this, for me, in my opinion, is really disruptive, right? And so this is an example. How can we leverage customer experience using information that is already there? It was from the company. So nothing new. We have ingested public information, and we are able to provide a rich answer and solve the customer problem. So the question is, how can we, as a company, leverage generative AI to improve customer experience?
I hope that somebody of you have an opinion on that, because at the end, we will replay the 4 questions, and we would like to also hear about the expert opinion of the audience. But look at that, you can give this tool to your call center agent, he gets a second brain. I'm sure that the call center agent will be in a place and in a position to give you a kind of much better answer. This is also a nice example. Language does not matter anymore. Whether Sophie now wants to talk in Dutch with us, or in French, or in German, we don't care. But what is also very powerful here is that Sophie, we know more about Sophie, who Sophie is as a company. Sophie is a bad payer. And Sophie has a single subscription, mobile subscription, but she wants to have television. Now, what have we done here? Is the fact that we know that Sophie is a bad payer, but she would like to have a TV subscription. It would create a bad convenience factor if we would offer her a bundle, what we traditionally try to do. We try to maximize the money that we could source out of our customers. So, because we know she was a bad payer, we take the assumption that I think she must count maybe the money that she has. So what we offer to her was something very pointed. It was a single subscription offer. So based on what we know from Sophie, we also indeed brought the right offering into play to propose to her. Hugo.
Yeah, here again, we are providing some information here in the profile. So we are able to understand who is Sophie. Again, we need to know our customers. And we know that Sophie has only a mobile subscription, but no internet, no TV, no landline. So we should avoid creating an answer, offering something that Sophie will not buy, will not take. So it will be, for sure, with high probability, a bad customer experience. So instead of that, what we have done? We have offered TV subscription overnight only. That's only. 2 lessons that we have learned from this. First, we need to use information from our customers. We need to know who Sophie is, but at the same time, we should not disclose that we know that Sophie is struggling with paying the bills. So we should be able to handle the situation, offer a convenient answer, and not disclosing information. So this is one of the concerns that we have, and we should be very careful with the information that we use to offer personalized answers, but not disclose it. And here comes the question. So how can we spot the right balance between ingesting private information to provide a personalized service, and in the meantime, avoiding leakage and avoiding the loss of trust? So this is an open question that we will discuss.
So indeed, good. I think we cannot leak the fact that telling to Sophie that she's a bad payer, it's not done in the context of the communication and the dialogue and that we should have with her. I think the real excitement came here. Yeah, you can have the question. Let's have the question. Yeah?
I probably will forget. That's why I raised my hand. Okay, so in the context of Sophie, how is that not infringing on GDPR?
That's a good question. Yeah. So I think part of the also of doing, the more you want to do it something personalized, there you get into the consent discussion and asking a consent. Why are, for instance, a lot of financial institutions are saying their single entry point of their customer is only their banking app. I don't know if you open your banking app, how much time you have been asked to press a button to accept the consent. And the more you do the consent, the more you can get too personalized. So there indeed, a very good point. Also indeed, in the art of the possible, we also need, when we do generative AI, it's not only about AI and engineering, it's not only about strategy and design, but also a lot about regulation. Good question. For me, this was really an awesome example again of a personalized way. Yeah? If I need to, imagine I need to tell to my daughter, 18 years old, to install an app. If I give her 5 keywords, I'm sure she knows how to install an app. If I call my daddy of 80 years old, yeah, well, if I don't say 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe I need to repeat it a few times, I will never get this. And so again, this is an extremely nice example where we've taken the age into play, have given indeed, we gave the same answer, but in a different way in trying to create that kind of convenience factor. So Hugo?
So we need to instruct our model to behave differently based on the age, for example. We know that Victor is 75 years old. Probably it's not taken safely, so probably we'll need to explain to Victor in the simple steps what he should do. And we should explain in the history. So you go here, you click on this button, you download and you save in your laptop, then you can print, or if you are not able to do this way, please reach out to someone that will send you a paper or will send you in a paper. So this is the kind of instructions that we will need to prepare in the prompt based on criteria like age, language, whether you can specify on types of interests. And here comes the question again. How can we instruct in a prompt and provide specific guidance to customers like Victor?
And for that, I think Hugo, I want to give the intro. I think if you want to take one photo in this session, I think you should take this one because this is around the art of prompt engineering. And so Hugo, can you tell a little bit more about?
You can take a photo, but for your case, you will have to do it by yourself. So this is our recipe for this case. But if you have different challenges, if you have a different business domain, you should probably need to fine-tune and create new ones or remove someone. So this is the prompt engineering. But in fact, we are not talking, in my opinion, we are not talking about engineering. This is almost an art. So we should shape it in a way that will deliver what you want. And we came up with this recipe based on interactions. We tested a lot. And we came up with a specific shape that will achieve the pointed goal, that can address several challenges that we will explain, for example, the hallucination, the leakage, but we will have, for sure, we will have other challenges, and we'll be able to deliver a rich answer. So we have to define who we are. We are, let's say, a company in retail. We are in the healthcare industry. We are in the finance sector. So this determines the belonging, who we belong. Next, we will have a chart. This defines the role of the agent. It could be a call center assistant. It would be a CEO. It would be a software engineer. And we will give it a name. A name is creating a personal relationship for the interactions. Next, we will specify the profile, the mission. The mission is also shaping the behavior of the agent. The mission should be answer customer questions or ask some questions to get all the information to fill this form. Or, let's say, you say it. So, the mission will shape what we want the agent to do. Next, we will provide information about the customer. This will contain the age, probably some confidential information, probably some type of information that we will not want to leave. So we are using the sentence to say, use this information, but do not leave it. So after that, we will create a context of history context. As mentioned before, we don't want to be frustrated, explain again and again to a new agent what we have already explained. So we are registering the sessions. We know what the customer is asking for, and the customer is not required to repeat again. We are serving based on past interactions. Here we have the context. The context is our knowledge, the information, the high quality information that we have in our company that could provide us a way to validate the answers. We will embed this information, we will create some kind of representation of that information that could be easily retrieved by the model. And here again, do not assume anything. This is to prevent another challenge that we have is hallucination. Do not assume anything. You should only answer based on the context we have given. And finally, that was already explained, the personalization. So again, this is our formula. We have achieved this formula to achieve a specific goal, addressing several challenges, but there's more challenges. And here's the open question is, what challenges are you facing with your business application?
Thank you, Hugo. And I call this famous picture a little bit peeling the onion. We get access to the universe of knowledge. But again, I think if we don't peel the onion, we will not get a pointed and a correct answer. And I also make a little bit of reflection. When in my life did I needed to do that? When I was in university and I needed to make my dissertation, what was the first thing that we needed to do? To put our research questions into place. Well, exactly that's the same. I think if you now look to in the context of generative AI, every day we will need to apply the art of creating these research questions. The better the research questions are, the better we will indeed be able to create a kind of result or outcome out of it. This was again also a new excitement because, and again, it's again related to a dialogue. But how much is sometimes language a barrier? Well, in this example, and I think the left side is just to follow the conversation, so I think it's the middle and the right side which I think really matters. But you see here, Levi is sitting in the Netherlands and has a question. Noor, who needs to answer the question of Levi, is sitting in Vietnam and does not speak Dutch. So what you see happening here, and this is the art of the possible nowadays, is that when Levi is asking the question, it gets simultaneously translated to Noor. But guess what? Noor is also immediately getting from GenAI a proposed answer. So she is immediately getting, she's reading it, she gets a suggested answer, and she accepts the fact that this answer will go back, or she said, no, it will not go back. So can you imagine in the context of customer service that language is not a barrier anymore to have a dialogue with your customer and even bring a higher, deeper dialogue and level of quality in it? I think that is, for me, I think quite awesome. So I think, Hugo, maybe you want to comment on this?
So what we have done here is we are activating the translating service. We are offering the question to Noor, and also with the question we are providing a proposed answer. Probably it's not the best answer. So the model, sometimes it happens that the model is not able to give us the right answer, but Noor is able to be based on that, maybe collect some part of the answer and add to some to the response and search the model. So we click on the button to be search the knowledge base, trying to find out another pieces of information that Noor could collect to offer the right answer. So this interaction takes place in nearly real time. And if the customer call center assistant could have this tool, I think it will benefit. First, will benefit the customer, because the customer is shaped to the user needs, and it will also benefit Noor, because Noor will be able to provide a high quality answer to the user, and it will benefit also for higher levels of satisfaction. So it's an application that we think we can deliver. It's ready because it's supervised. We have humans in the middle to approve or to deny the answer. So it's a ready-to-use application. And the open question here should be, because in this case we have Noor with different language, in a different culture. So we are using generative AI to address these challenges. And the question is, how can we deliver high personalized services while addressing different kinds of ages, languages, culture, etc.
So before we go in there, everybody was saying generative AI is a little bit of a threat. Huh? I think with the last 100 years, we tried to automate everything in the context of the blue-collar workers. I think everybody now, from a knowledge perspective, is getting impacted. But I don't see it as a disaster. I see it as an enormous big opportunity, yeah? To bring a lot of new things into place. And what you see of what we have learned as Cognizant is that also a lot of new disciplines will start. Yeah? If you want to use a foundational model, you will need to make sure that your company has ethical standards. And you will need to reflect on these ethical standards. We also will not be able to export certain problems. I'm an old guy, I'm 30 years in the industry. Yeah, master data management, we also had a discussion 30 years ago. I see now some customers spending now the first money on it. Yeah? Look on MLOps, taking in the responsible AI equation, we cannot export it anymore. We will now need to start doing something seriously with it. But you see, the ethical sourcing manager, the bias specialist, the data detective, a lot of new opportunities are coming up. But what we have seen also there, if you want to tap and leverage generative AI into your company, this is not only a data analytics story. Yeah? For us, it's really making the combination of that compliance and regulation piece, which if you start with the use case, you immediately will need to check and reflect on that. A design and strategy element. Generative AI has a multitask opportunity. So even identifying a use case and trying work and Gen AI in my process play a role, it's not in one place. Maybe it's in 100 places. Try to identify this. So this desire, for instance, a lot of mind mapping, design thinking type of activities. Yeah? So we clearly also see in our approach as Cognizant, that is the focusing on the interaction. We are not replacing the human being, we are augmenting it, so it somewhere needs to get embedded. The foundational models, if you want to start up a company, it's now the time. The venture capitalists are throwing money like hell to companies for building foundational models. Doesn't always need to be big, it can also be very small. Yeah? But we also need to do it in an enterprise context. So if you want to use it for 1,000 or 10,000 people in your organization, it still will need also to run on a performance perspective. Yeah? And you want to leverage and bring your own information into play into in a protected way. Let's go to our first question. Who would like to answer or share an experience on the first question that Hugo asked? Hugo, maybe you can just refrain it for...
So, how do you think companies can leverage generative AI and empower their customer agents to deliver more personalized and efficient experience?
Any experience, any thoughts? Yeah, please go.
Well, first of all, thanks for all of the information. I'm a product manager, actually doing exactly that, building the software for businesses that need a customer service platform that has AI. I think the most important thing for companies that want to start working with that and empowering the customer agents is to actually talk to the tool that they use. That's something that we struggle with currently as well, is that a lot of customers are interested in enhancing their experience and giving these tools to their agents. But even the simple question, if they want a bot that is able to answer these questions automatically, or indeed the suggestions and giving an Iron Man suit to their agents, like those kind of questions are very basic, that they don't even ask themselves. Like, they see AI as this new trend and they want to jump on the train, but they don't even know which piece of the chain or which piece of the conversation they want to tackle with. I think that's going to be the most critical question.
I think, thank you for your response. And I think what we also have learned, I think, because AI is not new, it's already there since 1959. Yeah? And so Gen AI is now, again, a hockey stick moment. But we also see in a lot of use cases, we still make the combination of traditional narrow AI together with Gen AI. Because don't ask a large language model to do calculations. You don't want to rely on it, certainly not when you're quite connected to regulation. Hugo, the second question.
Can we strike a balance between leveraging private information to provide personalized services and maintaining customer confidentiality and trust?
Anybody an opinion? I think it was already asked by the nice lady there on the corner, is that I think when we want to get personalized, we cannot break the rules. And certainly in Europe, I think we could be privileged. Sometimes we say it's a burden, but I think there is a lot of regulation around data. And do not forget, I think that next year, the AI Act is also becoming a law. So how do you look, for instance, into generative AI? Yeah, the European AI Act, you know that you have the 4 risk level categories. It is the outcome of what you produce with generative AI. It's on the outcome that you will do the classification to identify if it's low risk or high risk. And the more it's high risk, the more you will need to put risks and controls into place.
Another issue would be where the hardware is. Basically, if the hardware is out of prep, that would be a huge problem with B2B plus companies. And it's something that we are also dealing with.
So you mean that it needs to be in Europe and on the continent of Europe, for instance?
Europe, and also for some companies on-prem, like it should be
Okay. Yeah.
like the data, and at any point the data should not leave the company servers.
Yeah.
Because some companies are just using this company because it is providing its own hardware, and the hardware and the data is not going through AWS.
I think you see there, because I think there's the big question, have we missed the boat in Europe to have a European cloud provider? do we still, it's still the time to build one, yes or no? You also see that, I think we are seeing from an agnostic perspective, the concept of the sovereign cloud. And look to also, I think Google is making more and more deals with telcos, where they put the hardware in the data centers, their own hardware in the data centers of the telco, and even the management of the sovereign cloud perspective is done by local people. Just to comply, for instance, in Luxembourg, that is already happening, just to comply with the regulation. Good.
Striking the balance for leveraging information. It's for the consumer. If it's beneficial to the consumer, the element of creepiness doesn't necessarily come through, right? So the consumer benefits from it as long as we don't exploit it and it doesn't get very tacky and aggressive in the way we try and leverage that information. I don't think the consumer would mind it. It's just our company is ready today to do that, to let go of some of those so-called opportunities to immediately convert on some whatever sales basis and actually get into the consumer benefit in its broader sense. It could be anything. It won't be today's sales. It would be next week maybe, but today it's about something else. I think leveraging that information, as long as it's still in the benefit of the consumer, should be more of the purpose and the goal.
I think fair remark, but there's also sometimes an ethical discussion. I was talking with some of the mutualities to give. They have enough personal data, the mutualities on us, so they could predict if you become a diabetes patient in 10 years, yes or no, but they are not allowed to do it. So then we get into the ethical discussion. Should they be allowed to do it, yes or no? Okay. So let's go to the third question, Hugo.
Can we flexibly tailor our guidance and instructions to meet the unique needs of customers like Victor? Remember, Victor was our 75 years old.
I think there was...
Yeah, I had a question for question number 2, but do we have time for that, or I'm happy to move on?
If somebody wants to first react on question 3? No? Okay, so...
my question is more about should the second question will extend to the ownership of the outcome as well, if the outcome is based on my personal information. That would form part of that private information, and who owns the data? Should it be sold on? Should it then come under the ownership of my portfolio, or is it actually owned by the company who's giving me this answer? I don't know, my view is...
Yeah? Hugo, you want to respond?
Just one point, I think it was mentioned already. One of the solutions would be ask the user, do you mind that we use your personal information to offer you a better answer? So the information is no longer yours because you have shared. So it's a shared information with your consent. So the belonging here, I don't know, maybe some legal department would define, but it's shared, so you do have a consent to the answer.
Okay. So any reflection on the third question? No? Don't be shy, you can also share an experience or an opinion.
So in the case of Victor, what we have done is, if Victor is an elderly, and or if someone, a customer, is too young, we shape the way we have prompted the model. So we are creating dynamic prompts based on specific testimony.
And it's also sometimes crazy. I think because we have a hobby, we play around with it and then we try to test it. But look now to financial institutions. A lot of financial institutions, if you're 75 years old, you cannot get a loan anymore. That's in their product specs. So if Victor would ask to get a loan from the bank, who says you're too old, you will not get the question. I don't think that we can make this from an ethical or even from a communication strategy that is. So we need to make sure that the leakage is not happening and that there is an intervention that you're saying, Victor, a call center agent will reach out to you or a financial advisor will reach out to you to discuss the situation.
I understand what you're doing with that, but it's you know, I think if I was 75, I think I would want to be given an option to download the app and go with a more efficient way to do things, right? Why would you assess that now that I'm 75, I cannot handle an app anymore? So I see, you know, the opportunity, but I think there is a risk of pushing people into a corner of the box where it's broader, it's more rich, you know, than just putting a label on someone.
That's true, but look now to the call center agent. It's still the call center agent that makes the final decision of how to communicate it. He's getting a guidance saying, there's a 75 years old guy, maybe you will need to take more time to explain it. Also, how to get the app installed on the iPad. Yeah? So he's still master of the communication, the financial advisor or the call center agent. So he is getting just a tool to help him. He can still overrule it. Yeah? But how often do we get the one-fits-all answer? Yeah? Which I think, I'm sure if my father would get the 5 keywords that after he called the telco, he would call me and say, Gregory, I need your help because how do I need to install it?
Kind of related to this one. So I've seen in one of your previous slides about the prompt, the system prompt that you have made. So you had a personalization variable. What extra information does that provide?
So,
because the whole prompt, because the whole system message is that personalization. So what was extra information in that personalization?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we have explained in the Victor. So in the personalization, we include rules like if it's a child, explain as it was. If it's a child, if it's too old, explain as it's not tech savvy. You should offer numbers, instructions to be ensured that you will be able to follow it. So every personalization that we need to others in our service should be placed here. So we specify the rules and the behavior that we want to see our
There's a,
I have a question because you said this is just like a personalized style of the answer for the older or younger. Do you also like adjust like the type of the language like for the younger generation, for instance, and how do you do that?
I think.
You ask the practical stuff, but still he needs to respond in a different way. And also like if you also adjust it for the channel, like for instance for internet banking or for app according to the, like for instance age or like.
Yeah. I think if you're a big enterprise, you normally have also maybe some communication line or tone of voice elements that you want to bring forward. And you say, it's not good enough to create an answer. The answer needs to be created in the context of the communication style as been defined by my organization. And so I think we also prove that in the context of the art of prompt engineering, you can make sure that you not only create an answer, but you create an answer in line with the communication style that you have defined as an organization.
And in this like different version, you have like for instance data which channel they mostly use, or because like I don't know, like mostly like in my organization they write like for this channel to this path, for this channel to this path, but do you also already like adjust it
right? If you see that this person, for instance, mostly use only app or only internet banking, can you do it as well?
Yeah, I would suggest to make two. Two agents. Because, or you can use the prompt. You are saying you are, let's say, call center assistant. But you can say, specify the role, or specify a channel, and specify a code of conduct, you specify the language that you should provide. So, for example, I have a test with, I call it, hey, my friends. And the reply back with, hey, my friend. So it's not the correct way to address the customer, right? So we should have a code of conduct there. We are running out of time.
I see a question from the back.
You show us the onion, let's say, layers and so on. Is there any specific process that we can follow to generate this actually formula for?
Yes, good question. Let me take this one. So we are researching it. So this is an ongoing process. We are this topic discussion internally and also with our partners. We are developing a Neuro AI orchestrator. We are shaping the prompts dynamically and to adjust for our objective to be right on the target. So this is a dynamic process. It involves a lot of service as well. Probably one prompt will not be enough. You should prompt it from several angles to get the right answer. Involves, for example, the marketing department, the financial department, to get a final answer from the sales department, right? Something that orchestrates several roles inside the company to offer a rich solution. And we are also involving traditional AI together with generative AI, because we have some problems with generative AI that we cannot solve. So we are orchestrating several models to create a solution.
But I think certainly also to come back on I'm also calling prompt engineering as an art, not an art and not a science. So it's not only about doing the right programming, it's also understand. I'm coming back to that research question. This has to do with the human science perspective. This has to do with the way of how people think. And the more I know how people think, the more I define it, the better I get the result out of it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. I think. Yeah. No problem.
I mean, it's okay. I wanted to
Yeah.
just address the question 4 because
Yeah.
actually something that I think is interesting to talk about the challenges, and I'd like to get your comments on this because as I see it, one of the big challenges has to do with the speed at which the AI landscape is changing. You know, if I was sitting here a year ago today, it seems like it was like maybe 50 years ago almost. It's a change even from ChatGPT 3, 3.5, 4, the tool sets are changing. Does that pose a challenge? And if so, how does your teams address the dynamic nature of this landscape?
First of all, like I said, I think the dynamic landscape is not only an engineering question, it's equally also a regulation and compliance question. It's about ethical standards, and it's also even by finding the opportunity, which we, more than ever, we need the concept or the art of design thinking to detect that. At the same time also, I think that we are at the beginning of even something which is more complex, because we're always talking about large language models. The next step is the multimodal opportunity, because in customer experience, I want next to text also bring vision and pictures into play. It's possible today. Yeah. So I think that there are indeed a lot of elements on the move. I think what you only need to do is that even if you as a customer, you cannot make one choice nowadays. Yeah. So I think anybody that makes now one choice is constraining himself or herself in that perspective. Yeah. So that's also the reason why we developed a kind of what we call it frameworks, yeah, that try us to make technology agnostic, yeah, perspective. But Pablo, I think you wanted to give a comment.
So what I think is a lot of things are changing, and these things are getting smarter and smarter. But so far, in the near future, seems like one thing is gonna remain the same, and things are gonna change next year. But you always have an intelligent thing, that is a decision-making algorithm. But you will always need, to make a right decision, you don't need to be smart, you need to have the right. Right away. If he doesn't have access to all the data, all your analytics, all the right tools that he needs to learn to use the tools of your business. So what we are doing doesn't matter what the LLM is. It's a decision-making algorithm that's going to get better and better understand the nuances of the context you provide. And what we build is the systems that provide the dynamically fit that context into the front end.
I'm getting the timekeepers are saying that I think we're almost. So I think good news is that we can keep on talking. We also have a booth here, so please come and see us. Yeah? I think I still want to do two things. First of all, I'm always saying, who does not want to have a second drink? And I think, let's be honest, I think that's the opportunity. We're all limited into our intellectual capacity. We can add more capacity to that, so we will have much more time to focus on value and innovation. And I had even I was interviewed, and the guy was saying to me, will I not have a job anymore in the future? I said, no, you will still have a job in the future, but you will be able to write better quality articles going forward, because you will have much more time to review it. Yeah? And again, I think we're doing it in the enterprise, it's not hobby. We need to do the responsible AI question is absolutely key. The collaboration, I think, element. It's not only an AI job, it's even working together with people, working together with our design thinking experts and design experience people. So it's about, and then I think prompt engineering, look to that tailored perspective. I think that's not popping up. You will also see that the out-of-the-box Gen AI experience are now getting a lot of disillusionments. You're getting frustrated about what you see as an outcome. That's the reason why I think the tailored approach is now getting also much more focused, because there you can tweak and tune it to source the maximum value for you as an organization. I was asked as a final, because there was a quiz on our booth to win this. I don't know if Ali Sanai is here in the room. No? Okay. Then he missed the chance to have it. I have a second backup plan, and that is Lidmila Todorovska. No? Yeah, okay, then I think the marketing lady said we will continue the game tomorrow. On it. Yeah, thank you for being here. And again, I think, like I said,
Can you explain how to participate in the game? You can go to our website, scan the code, and answer a question.
Yeah.
And we will be.
And I think you normally after the session you know how to answer.
If you attend this session,
and yeah, the comments, yes, I think, like I said, it's a journey. I think we learn from you every day, you learn from us. But I think that let's not miss the opportunity. We can co-create with you to make that second thing available in your organization. Thank you.